Can you believe that it's been 6 years since I graduated from medical school? I was just looking at my videos as a fresh face FY1 and it feels like a century ago, and I really can't believe how quickly time has passed. But now I'm here a little bit wiser than I was, and I wanted to create a video for my final year medical students and my foundation year doctors and tell you about the top 8 apps that you need to download to make your life easier as a medic. So it's kind of like an accomplishment as a doctor on social media to tell you that today's video is being sponsored by doctorsnetuk, which is something I'm going to go into shortly because it's going to be very exciting. Now, when you are on the wards, as a final year medical student, a foundation year doctor, you are going to be given the task of speaking to like 50 different specialties a day. Honestly, you'll be asked to discuss something with microbiology, you'll be asked to speak to radiology about an order for an x-ray that you did, calling the lab to chase bloods, bleeping somebody, I don't know, it's endless. And as the most junior in the team, you usually get left with that job. Now, if you wait around on the hospital switchboard, they get very busy sometimes, and you end up wasting so much time waiting on that phone call to actually get through to someone. Whereas you can actually download an app, click the hospital that you're working in, and it will tell you majority of the extensions, the bleep numbers that you need. It's also really helpful, say if you want to contact like a different hospital, instead of going through their switchboard and waiting around for an extension to be called and nobody's manning that extension because the secretary's working from home that day or something, you can just go onto that hospital's directory and go on the numbers from there and call to talk to a colleague about a patient that you're looking after. So that has been really helpful as well. You go through medical school learning about the different antibiotics and so on to treat for various infections. What they don't tell you is on top of learning those guidelines, you get a new set of local guidelines that you need to adhere to at the hospital that you work in. So if you are in a different hospital, you will know that there is an intranet that has protocols on specific antibiotics to prescribe for specific things such as pyelonephritis and cholecystitis and those sorts of things. Anyways, the important thing to tell you is that you don't actually need to memorize these local guidelines. There's something called Microguide. Now, this is an app that you can log into, click the hospital that you are working in, and it will give you the guidelines on the antibiotics for different body systems and also what to do if a patient has a penicillin allergy. So I found that so useful. And going on from that is the BNF app. Now, I don't think I can remember the last time I used the paper copy. I think I probably use it for like my prescribing exam, because the online version of the BNF is just so much easier to use now, and to click through and to click the side effects and so on. And the fact that there is now an app for that makes it so much easier. So if you then know what you want to prescribe, but you want to know the adjustments because you are in pediatrics and you want to know how many milligrams you need to prescribe per kilo, BNF is the app to go to. So let's go on to the exciting bit, doctors.net.uk. Let's think of the online community for doctors and having a space online to sometimes ask questions like clinical questions, but also to talk about like training, to vent sometimes, to ask for some sort of life advice. And there are some forums out there that I've previously used, but they're not really confidential. You don't really know if everybody on there is a medic. Long story short, it's not the most trustworthy way of getting some information, particularly if you're asking about like clinical questions. This is where doctors.net.uk come in. But let's be real, the reason why everybody signed up to them first was to get that cool doctors.net email handle you can use not only when you qualify, but you can actually sign up to it as a medical student. And I mean, it's just an extra email address, right, to sign up for like coupons and discount codes and so on. But joke aside, when I first signed up to it, I just felt so cool and sort of legitimized. But as I mentioned, doctors.net.uk is a lot more than just an email. So when you go up to their website, you will notice, like I said, they have this massive community of colleagues that are there to talk to you about lots of different issues that you're having on your day-to-day training, because let's admit that medicine can be very isolating. And I feel like this is where the community really helps with this aspect of things. Not just for your learning, but just feeling like you're part of this wider community that is supporting each other and making you feel less isolated. And if you're a foundation doctor, you've probably heard about the dreaded portfolio, and it's really such a chore to do it. I mean, everybody tells you to sort of get on top of it early, don't leave it to last minute. But in reality, it ends up like those chocolates from Quality Street or Celebrations that you don't want to eat, that just sit there forever, and one day you get really desperate and you end up reaching out for the chocolates you don't actually like and eat them. That is basically a summary of how I saw my portfolio. I really just didn't want to do it, didn't have motivation, and eventually just got around to it because I had to do it. Anyways, my point from the portfolio is that during your years, throughout, entries in your portfolio, you have to show that you've done sort of some extracurricular learning, getting some CPD points and so on. And doctors.net.uk have an amazing section on their website where they've essentially digested like really important up-to-date news for you on their website for you to read and understand in a way that you can apply to your clinical practice. And you can actually write up about it on your portfolio and just show them all the extracurricular things that you've been doing to make sure that you pass your ARCP at the end of the year. And then hopefully when you do get to the end of your training part of your career, so I'm in my ST3 year of GP training, so I've got just over a year to go because I'm doing less than full time, then you can delve straight into the job section as well and have a browse at your heart's desire of the jobs that are out there and different places and the salaries and what they're offering you and so on. So as you can see, it really caters for you all the way from medical school to your training and so on. I mean, if you haven't already, pause this video right here to sign up to doctors.net.uk. I'll leave the link in the description below so you can do so at the end of this video and get on your way with your new email address and this great community that is going to welcome you with open arms. And the reason why it's in this video is because they also have an app. It's actually very rare to come across like a platform that you regularly use online to have an app itself to make it really easily and streamlined. So there is a doctors.net.uk app that you can download and have on your phone. Now onto some other apps that have actually been life-changing, and I'm not even exaggerating. I really struggled with what to do with like abnormal bloods. Say for example, you send a set of liver function tests and a component of that comes back abnormal. There's usually a way of following through with that. So like repeating the test, but also depending on what is different, you need to send the patient for an ultrasound of their liver, piece this information together, see if you need to do anything more, or if a patient's sort of iron levels are super high but everything else is normal, so you're wondering, what do I do here? There is an app called the Bookoo app, and I don't even know if I'm pronouncing that right, but it's an app that has lots of different sections in it, giving you like the highs and lows of each blood test result and telling you what it could be, so giving you a great starting point and knowing what to do. So it just gives you like a differential diagnostic list that you can work your way through and really understand why that blood result is abnormal. And going on from that as well, there's a really good app that helps you do some calculations, such as the really laborious MOCA test that you have to do if you are querying about someone's memory and recall and so on. And this app is called the MDCalc. It has almost all of the scoring systems that you need. One that I always use was the Well score. So when I was in A&E, we had lots of people who were query DVT, query PE, and as part of ordering a ultrasound, Doppler or CTPA, you had to write the Well score, And I almost always got confused between the two and didn't know off by heart how to calculate it. But I had this phone in my app that could quickly jot the yeses and nos, and the app would give me a score that I just popped into the notes, popped into the radiology request form, and it made everything so much easier. And the next one, if you're anyone like me, I get like really anxious if I'm the first one that's arriving at a crash call. I know what to do. I'm confident in what I'm doing because, you know, you've probably had the training not so long ago, but it's like a really stressful time period when you're the first one there, and the first one there, you need to be instructing people on what to do after you've obviously like assessed the patient and so on. And the way that I kind of overcame that anxiety was refreshing my memory on exactly what I needed to do. So that Dr. ABCD approach, you know, how many compressions to how many breaths and when do you administer the adrenaline, that you know, but you just need a refresher. So something called the Resus app, and on there it has the flowchart guidelines. If, for example, you've got a few minutes before you're due to start your shift, like once a week I used to go onto this app just to refresh my memory so that if I am called to a crash call, then I know exactly what to do, how to approach the patient, and it just gives you that confidence that sometimes you lack if you haven't been in that situation for a few months, because you will notice very quickly with crash calls is that you don't get very many for a while, and then all of a sudden you're on call and you've got like 5 in the past 2 weeks or something. And last but not least, I don't think I can end the video without talking about one of the apps that I probably use the most and is the least medicine related, but I have to include it in here, and it's called the Blue Light Card. So this is more for sort of post-medical school, so once you've graduated, but it's also app for like emergency workers such as police and ambulance staff and nurses and so on. It's basically a discount card app. And there's loads of retailers on there that give you like amazing discounts. Some of the like most basic ones is 20% off at Nando's, like 20% off in River Island and so on. And I am that person who will be at the front of the queue, and just before I pay, I'll be like, do you do NHS discounts? It's just the habit that I've gotten since COVID, because so many retailers were offering discounts to NHS staff, and more often than not, they say yes, and they want to see your blue light cards. So if you haven't signed up to it already, I was like 2 years late signing up to this, then I advise you do so ASAP. So there you go, guys. I wanted to share some of the wisdom and some of the things that I've accumulated over the years. And these are honestly the core apps that I personally use almost every day, every week, and it's on the front page of my iPhone. So hopefully you have enjoyed the video, and as I said, I will put the link for the doctors.net.uk in the description so you can sign up and get on your way with that new platform. And also, before you click off, don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.